girls, welcome back to the Hero Whisper with your chief Supergirl and host Jeannie Marie. I am so excited today. We have an amazing queen on the line. She is a really great friend of mine from the old days in business school. And our topic today is befriending your dragons, the gift of finding your biggest challenge. What does that mean? Well, you're here to find out. Samaya Wood is our guest today. And stay tuned until the end because we're going to tell you how to get the gift. 7 questions to ask your dragon to turn lemons into lemonade. So stay tuned. You're going to want to hear her talk. She is magical. I call her the Good Witch. But before we go any further about my queen Samaya, just quickly about our show. We are the Hero Whispers. We are here to inspire and empower you young women as you launch, as you get ready for the real world, to give you all the tools you need to be fierce and get whatever it is you want after college and in life. This is the place to know and find that out. So thank you for being with us. And without any further ado, let's meet Samaya. Spiritual life coach Samaya Wood is on a mission to help spiritual explorers everywhere navigate new perspectives, release resistance, and say sayonara to their struggles so they can reignite their spark and experience more ease, joy, and inner peace. Her passion is guiding you to navigate life's challenges successfully using time-tested insights and proven tools because the world needs you to unleash your awesome. Welcome, Samaya, to the show.
I always want to bottle your energy because I love it.
Oh, I love it too. Thank you. I love it. Well, you know, I bounce off of other people. So that's because of you and all the other fabulous people in my life. And I too wish that I could bottle it and sell it and I could be mega rich.
Could be a gazillionaire.
Yes, gazillionaire. So we're recording today from the shores of Lake Coeur d'Alene in Idaho. And let me tell you, it is a gorgeous place. If there was ever God's country, I don't know, I think this might be it. So thanks for coming today and being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Well, we all want to know the big question, the elephant in the room. What is a spiritual life coach anyway? What is that?
Good question. So let's start with life coaching, and then I'll throw the spiritual, I'll layer the spiritual bit on top of it. But in general, life coaches help clients identify, navigate, and move beyond whatever challenges they're facing. So I think that's what differentiates coaching from traditional therapy. It's not just about identifying what your issues are. It's also about doing the inner and then the outer work to move beyond them in a constructive way. So I anchor my life coaching approach with a spiritual understanding that we're all inherently whole, perfect, and complete. And because of that, we're innately more powerful than we ever realize. And so with that understanding, that means I bring, with the clients who are comfortable with it, I bring God, spirit, the universe, whatever folks prefer to call it, and their spiritual nature into the conversation. And for those who aren't comfortable talking about God, that subject doesn't come up at all, but it's still the foundation for how I go about my work with folks. Plus, I tend to be pretty intuitive, as you well know, so I bring that into my work as well, and usually allow my intuition to guide how client sessions unfold and how my work with clients unfolds. Does that answer?
Yes, that is like an amazing answer. Okay, but first I just want to say something about the intuition. I'm telling you, people, this woman has like a gift. She's got like ESP. They used to call it ESP back in the day. But it's like this thing that she knows. Like if she makes a suggestion to me to do something, I'm doing it because it's leading me in the right direction. She gets like these voices or however she, weaves her magic wand and gets her spirits and powers. And it's really true. It's like a gift. Not everyone has it. And I think it's because, Samaya, I could be wrong, but you have such a clear, you took away all the clutter, right? Like you take away all the clutter and all the noise from whatever's going on out there, and you're very focused. And so with that, you're able to kind of reap this benefit of this intuition. I don't know.
It's one of those things that I've had for as long as I can remember, and I've just gotten probably in the past 20 years more comfortable being out with it. So I've come out of that closet.
Yeah, you're out. The broom is flying. Woo!
Exactly.
Why did you choose this path? Like, I'm just going to say, I reconnected with Samaya. So we were in the same learning team in business school, which basically means we had this study group that we had to work together for a whole year. So good thing we got along really well, because the group was like a machine, a well-oiled machine. And anyway, we became really good friends. But, life happens, and then you go on, and then you like maybe lose touch or whatever. And then we reconnected. And I found out she was doing this incredible work, and she helped me so much in my own life with some of the work that we did together. But I have to say, it was different. It was different than what I knew her back then, which was, a quant jock. She was like studied finance, and she operations, right? I mean, what was the shift here? Well, how was it?
Well, I did all of the traditional, I did the traditional MBA route, consulting and corporate jobs. And while I loved it at first and I found it really interesting and challenging, I finally got to the point where that work was not fulfilling at all. And, they were the kind of jobs that paid really well, and it was the work I was supposed to do given my MBA. But you know how in your heart when you know something's missing and you just have that feeling of emptiness, and that's what I had. I just knew in my gut that there had to be more to life than working 12 to 16-hour days, and then 2 hours of commute time, and then coming home, and I was so exhausted I didn't have energy for anything else. And what I really wanted to do was be a spiritual life coach, because I had found that I had worked with spiritual life coaches in the past and found that work with them to be so invaluable in my own experience that I wanted to do that same work with others. But my head was like, how can you even be thinking about doing that? It's not at all what you're supposed to be doing as a Wharton MBA. And so I had this period of time where I just had this internal conflict of, what was I supposed to do? What's my right path? And finally, that conflict, I made myself sick. And so within a span of a few short months, I ended up in the hospital for the first time in my adult life. Then my mom died shortly thereafter, and then I got laid off from what ended up being my very last corporate job. And it was just a really crappy time that ended up being the kick that I needed to make the changes in my life that I knew in my heart that I was supposed to be making, and, doing work that I loved. And those experiences finally helped me get my head in line with my heart, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, somebody who's trying to tell you something, right? The universe.
Yeah, the universe, a big old kick in the ass.
Well, sometimes we can't kick ourselves, so someone else does it for us, Like
exactly.
Getting laid off. I've heard that so many times, people getting laid off. They were going to leave anyway, or they wanted to leave, but they just didn't think it was the right thing to do. Or like you said, they were internally conflicted, and then bam. Okay, thanks. Someone did it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because that job, I really didn't like it at all, and had been talking to people about looking for a new job, and I was reaching out to folks in my network. And then when I got laid off, I was like, you know what? This is the sign that I needed, that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, thank God the world is so much happier. And all these women that you're helping, are so blessed to have you in their life. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I know you've unleashed some of my awesome. So I'm super happy about it. And I want to show the world about you.
Aw, thanks.
Okay, so let's get right down to it. Okay, elephant in the room, or now it's a dragon in the room. What is this? You talk a lot about this, befriending your dragons and not slaying your dragons, okay, but befriending your dragons. So let's talk
Yes.
about what that means and what that means to all of us, and how can we use that or take from that.
Okay. So yeah, I used to think I needed to like conquer my dragons. And before I get into the dragons, I'll give you a little setup of how they came about. So one of my favorite quotes is, "The most important decision we ever make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or hostile universe." And I just love, love, love that quote because
Who's
it's
that
so
quote by? Do you know?
well. So here's the thing. It's funny you should ask, because that quote's often attributed to Einstein. That's how I first heard of it. But then, being the nerd that I am, I did some research and I was never able to find any confirmation that he actually said it. So I don't think he did, but I have no idea. I have no idea who did. So I just say it's attributed to Einstein, but I don't think it's him. But regardless of who said it, it really is such an important question for each of us to ask ourselves. And, you know, with my spiritual background, I absolutely believe that, yes, the universe is fundamentally friendly and that everything going on in our lives is happening for our good, even when it doesn't feel like it. And so, you know, having that to fall back on has been key to kind of how this process of befriending my dragons has evolved. And so a lot of us, I know you and I have talked about this, we have challenges with negative self-talk, those voices in our heads that show up as fear, as worry, as feelings of not enoughness. And I believe that the experiences that give rise to that negative self-talk in our lives is it's all here for a reason, right? And that reason is, again, falling back on my spiritual background, is to remind us of the truth of who we are. And so as I started doing this work for myself and with clients, you know, I used to call them, you know, gremlins, those little voices in your head. And then I started calling them dragons. At first because I wanted to slay them. And, you know, I wanted to, you know, I needed to fight them and conquer them. But that, you know, like that feeling of having to fight them and resist them, it automatically, I don't know about you, but when I think about that, my body just tenses up. And so, you know, ultimately I recognized that fighting my dragons was at odds with my belief that the universe is conspiring for my good, that it's fundamentally a friendly place. So I had to flip the script once I had that realization.
You had to make him Puff the magic dragon. You had to make him a friendly dragon, and not
exactly. Well,
they
don't even necessarily have to be. They can still be scary, but they still come with a gift, right? And so I started looking at the differences between European mythology and Chinese mythology, and they're very different, which I found so fascinating. So if you think like European dragons, you think of like a dragon hoarding gold in its cave, and you know, it takes the princess, and it's like symbolizes greed and fear and, you know, all these kind of negative emotions. But in Chinese mythology, dragons symbolize power, strength, and good luck. And I thought, who doesn't want that?
I want some of that.
Exactly. And so, you know, in my work, I've found that when I'm not resisting and when I'm recognizing that those dragons that are symbolizing power, strength, and good luck, when I'm acknowledging